Welcome back to Uncensored. Now, tomorrow night, a remarkable debate between two influential characters with vehemently opposing viewpoints, Rabbi Shmuley and Muhammad Hijab. Well, here's a preview discussing a two-state solution.
If two-state solution is a Hamas state wanting to eviscerate Israel,
he doesn't believe in it.
But he doesn't believe in a two-state solution. He believes in a final solution. That's what really scares me. You don't believe in a two-state solution. You believe in a final solution. The way you speak about Jews, you believe in a final solution, and it's scary.
I think it's fair to say it's probably the most ferocious debate we've ever had on Piers Morgan Uncensored, and that will be the show tomorrow night for the hour. It's the kind of debate we need to be having, but you have to see how close we get to any kind of peace or agreement. Well, for now, conservative commentator Charle Kirk says universities have become islands of totalitarianism in his new book. It's called Macaulay's Scam, How America's Universities Are Bankrupting and Brainwashing Away the Future of America's Youth. And Charle Kirk joins me now. Charlie, good to see you. This Israel-Palestine war and the debate that's raging around it, such passionate views on both sides. Have we lost the ability to have civilized debate?
Probably. I mean, on these campuses, it doesn't give you a lot of hope. I'll tell you, I was just at UCLA last week, and many of the Palestinian forces they have signs that say "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free," which is basically coded language for the abolition of the state of Israel. But look, part of why I wrote the book, The College Scam, is that we are seeing the erosion of Western values of free speech and dialogue and hearing the other side. I have visited over 150 campuses in the last 5 years. I'm not afraid of different ideas and to invite that kind of dialogue and discourse. I think this Israel-Palestine issue is just the latest example in a variety of different ideas and topics where we see the most radical and fringe ideologies come out of these university campuses. I mean, at Harvard University, which is considered to be the best school in America, 31 student organizations, right after the terrible massacre against the Jewish people on Yom Kippur, came out in favor of the Hamas activity. In fact, some professors even said it was justified, and another Ivy League professor said that it was a wonderful day and celebrated it. So some of the most vile and disgusting ideas that we've seen come to the surface in the last month have a point of origination on college campuses, which is why I wrote the book, The College Scam.
And what's so extraordinary about that is the very same people who've been behaving in this way, effectively supporting a terror group, have gone out of their way to deplatform and shame and cancel anyone who, mainly on the right, it has to be, so on the conservative side, who've deviated from their worldview. So free speech to them seems a very complex issue.
No, that's right. And look, I mean, we have to be disciplined in how we advocate for dialogue and free speech. And when I go to these college campuses, it's come very clear, and you see this now manifesting in some of the larger censorship regime that is taking over the West, that if a young student finds disagreement with a conservative or somebody on the right, they don't just find the ideas objectionable. Some, in fact, a majority by a recent Pew poll, want to use force to try to silence and stifle and even censor those differing ideas.
Yeah, which is the complete antithesis of what going to university should be about. I mean, Harvard, that you referenced earlier, just came bottom on a study of free speech at American universities. Bottom, almost registered zero, I think, or below zero. In other words, it's the complete opposite of a home of free speech, and yet you would hope and expect that someone like Harvard would be a place for all opinions to be discussed and debated and challenged. But it appears to be the complete opposite, unless you're out there supporting Hamas.
Yes, that's right. Well, it's been kind of ironic, Piers, which for the last decade I've been arguing for free speech, arguing that conservatives should have a voice on campus, and it's met with, at best, groans or opposition. And now Students for Justice of Palestine and the pro-Hamas groups are the ones saying that we want to have full free speech, we want to have rights to speak publicly, we want to have our guests on campus, which, again, I'm a free speech guy, so have at it. But the administration has been very quick to pander to every possible demand of the most radical groups possible on campus, when we conservatives have been asking for kind of equal and fair treatment over the last 10 years. And it's worse than even the free speech debate, Piers. It's that these Jew hatred ideas find a philosophical and intellectual foundation at so many of these institutions.
I also think if you look at things like TikTok, for example, which obviously originates from China, which may have all sorts of vested interests, and kids, I think, under 21, it's their main news source. And if you ask young people their view of this war, for example, they skew massively pro-Palestinian because they've been bombarded all day long with very short, often woefully ill-informed takes on the war on TikTok. And that's their only reference point.
No, that's exactly right. And I would say that your dialogue recently with Douglas Murray was one of the most powerful that I've heard recently. And if every young person could hear, you know, the conversation you had with Douglas Murray, I think they would have a different opinion. But they look at almost everything through oppressor-oppressed dynamics, and that is the kind of framing that is unfortunately pushed forward at many of these universities.
You know, in a way, what we've tried to do on this show since the war started is give a platform to both sides, in fact, all sides. There are people with other views too, not just Douglas, but also people on the pro-Palestinian side and stuff. And it's important to have that. But I've got an interview tomorrow night, was a debate really between two people, Rabbi Shmuley and Mohammed Hijab, and it just descended into one of the most ridiculous kind of punch-ups I've ever been involved with. And that's the sadness of this, because you don't get anywhere really when you're just trying to kill each other, metaphorically or verbally. I don't think you can hear me there, Charlie, but
all right,
don't worry, we've run out of time.
A lot of voices in my ear, but
we've run out of time. And the good news is you and I have just had a very civilized conversation, and I hope we can have it again. Charle Kirk, thank you very much indeed for joining me.